Hi BookTube, my name is Juan, I am just one reader and I am so excited because it's finally time to present my favorite video to make every single year, my top 10 favorite books of 2020. Now, for this list, I will be focusing exclusively on fiction, but if you're interested in nonfiction, I have made a separate video talking about my favorite 6 nonfiction reads of the year. So, 2020, what a year, what a disaster. But, at least I can say that with all the weird changes that came with 2020 and all the strange, bizarre, apocalyptic conditions that came with it, at least my reading was pretty awesome. It was certainly a silver lining of this whole situation. Actually, I think 2020 has been my best reading year, at least since I've joined BookTube, so I'm thankful for that. So the 10 books that I will be sharing today with you are all amazing. They are superb, and I would recommend all of them for different reasons and to different readers, but I would, of course, recommend that you try all of them. The ranking is weird because I just felt like it was a particularly good reading year for me, and I just could not make up my mind sometimes in terms of the ranking, which book should go higher than the other, which one was better than the other, or which one I liked more than the other. It was very hard, so take that with a grain of salt. And yeah, the ranking will probably change over time, except for my number 1 and my number 2. I think those are just the cream of the crop. So without any further ado, let's get started with my top 10 favorite books of 2020. Coming in at number 10, The Ickabog by J.K. Rowling. This was a delightful experience. It was a very simple, straightforward fairy tale, and yes, it's written for very young children, but I think it's a really brave, important fairy tale. I think this is the kind of fairy tale that children should read, or that adults should read to their children, because it's filled with important, difficult moral lessons and some situations and complexities that are not often addressed in fairy tales. So I really enjoyed it. J.K. Rowling's prose is always quirky and warm and funny, but she's not afraid of going to the dark places, so I really recommend it. Coming in at number 9, Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters. This was my first book completed in 2020, and it certainly has stayed with me, not necessarily because of the plot, but mostly for the atmosphere that she creates. She conjures up Victorian London in such a way that is just dazzling. This is the Victorian London of the music halls, the show business, the theater, and it's just lovely inhabiting these worlds that are so deftly painted by Sarah Waters. So if you're looking for a very gothic atmosphere, cozy but dark story with some really great characters and interesting exploration of sexuality, this is the book for you. Coming in at number 8, Bring Up the Bodies by Hilary Mantel. So I read the entire Thomas Cromwell trilogy by Hilary Mantel this year, and Bring Up the Bodies was by far the best one, in my humble opinion. I just thought this book was perfect from beginning to end. It features some of the most perfect, beautiful writing that I have come across this year. Some scenes and some descriptions and some fragments of writing are just dazzlingly good. And it also has one of those scenes towards the ending which involves an execution. One of those scenes that are indelibly ingrained in my head forever. Coming in at number 7, Ohio by Stephen Markley. This novel is remarkable. It does many things at once really well. It feels like a thriller. It feels like a political essay. It feels like a story about a small town. It feels like a story about individual characters, but it also feels universal. It feels like it's doing many things on many different levels at the same time really well. The novel is thrilling as well as reflective and very thought-provoking. So I think this is a book that has it all. It's a book that, it's very interesting because the one thing that I didn't like about this book was the writing style itself, which, if you know me, I am a reader of writing style primarily. If I don't like a writing style, it's very hard for me to enjoy a book. So that just goes to tell you how great this book is, because even though I really disliked Stephen Markley's actual writing style, the book was so great that it's here on my number 7. Coming in at number 6, Heavy Weather by P.G. Wodehouse. I am a sucker for P.G. Wodehouse. I just think his writing style and the way that he treats his stories and his characters is absolutely irresistible to me. I think there's a charm and a whimsical quality to his writing that is absolutely remarkable to me, and I really connect with this kind of humor. This particular novel, Heavy Weather, which is part of this anthology, I thought it was just really funny and silly and goofy. It was like Le Nozze di Figaro by Mozart and an episode of Scooby-Doo. And you know, P.G. Wodehouse has a writing style that is very elegant, very British, very beautiful, but he's always playful and mocking himself, so it's just delightful and quirky and refreshing. Coming in at number 5, the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, which is made up of Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin, and Assassin's Quest. Even though I think there are some problems with Robin Hobb's storytelling and editing process in particular, I think these books have something really special that I can't quite put into words right now. I think what I loved the most about reading these books was the writing style itself. You know, Robin Hobb has a great warm, cozy atmosphere in her writing, if that makes any sense. And she has like a melodic cadence in her writing, and I think that's really lovely. In fantasy, it's very hard to find. And also the characters are lovely. The world, the magic is different. It's complex. It's a very special kind of fantasy series for me, and I am very much looking forward to the rest of the series in this world that Robin Hobb has created. Coming in at number 4, Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, the author who gave us Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, but oh my god, Piranesi is her masterpiece. This is a gem, a work of genius. It's a perfect book from beginning to end. Just like Ohio by Stephen Markley, I think this is a book that does many things on many different levels at the same time really well. It's a story that has so much potential and so much reread potential. Like, it's a book that I know I will come back to eventually with a different angle or with a different perspective, and I will find more and more and more. This is fantasy. It's surreal fantasy, but it's a unique kind of fantasy, at least for me. From what I've read, with my reading baggage, I thought this was unique and delightful and very strange and just unforgettable. Coming in at number 3, Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. This was a reading experience that I will never forget. I think what I loved the most about reading Gone with the Wind was the storytelling. Margaret Mitchell's storytelling is absolutely fabulous. This is a masterclass in good storytelling. She keeps the story going forward all the time. It's propulsive, it's thrilling, it's sometimes very melodramatic, but I loved that as well. And also the characters, especially the characters of Scarlett and Melanie, are characters that seem very simple or one-dimensional at first, but we follow their stories throughout the book and we get to know them and we feel so much for them by the end, and they become nuanced, complex characters. I wish more books were as well told as Gone with the Wind. Coming in at number 2, Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. This is a book that I buddy read with Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, and I think having those discussions with her is part of why I enjoyed this book so much. This book is perfect. Evelyn Waugh has a writing style that is absolutely elegant, pretty beautiful. It's luxurious, and you know, it's one of those writing styles that I feel put a spell on me. But he's also playful, he's also hilarious. This book is so funny, but it's also very dark and very human. It speaks to human conflict and in many different spheres of conflict. I loved this book. The characters in this book are so nuanced and complex, and complicated, but in a good dramatic way. This book is an exploration on many different topics: religion, life, death, the war, politics. It's a book that has it all, and it's a delight to read. And so finally, coming in at number one, I actually have a tie, which I know is cheating, and I know that it's frowned upon. I don't care. I don't care because these are two novels that I could not decide which one was better than the other or which one I liked more than the other. I could not decide which one should go higher than the other on this countdown. So I just decided I'm just gonna do what I want. This is, after all, my channel, and these are my rules. And yeah, these are also two perfect examples of novels that feel like Juan books, you know what I mean? Like books that are very me books, books that when I was reading them and after I read them, just kept giving more and more to me, to the experience. These are books that I immediately clicked with, resonated with, but they are very different, and that's why I could not decide, and it's a tie. So it's Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte and French Exit by Patrick DeWitt. These are novels that are very different. This one is a tragedy, this one is a satire or a parody. This one is filled with laugh out loud, uproarious laughter kind of lines. This one is very, very dark and gloomy. They are both perfect from beginning to end, and more than perfect, I would say these are very Juan books. They are books for me. So these books I have talked about on my channel quite enough, so I will not describe them more in here. I would just say that they are perfect for me, and they are books that kept on giving, and I'm still thinking a lot about them. I want to reread them, but I feel like the experience of reading them for the first time was absolutely spectacular. So I have actually posted on my channel a separate in-depth review of Wuthering Heights, and I think I also talked quite extensively on French Exit in one of my wrap-ups. So these are my two favorite experiences of reading in 2020, and let's just leave it at that, because otherwise this video is going to be very rambly. But yeah, so I would like to know, what are your favorite books of the year? What were your favorite experiences reading in 2020? And leave a comment, tell me, what did you think of this list? What are your thoughts on some of these books? And yeah, I'm looking forward to another year, 2021, another great year of reading here and our community on BookTube. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.